Welcome back to the Crypto Domain, everyone. Another scintillating week in crypto, hey? Let's have a look at the tokens that people are talking about the most, or the most viewed. This is according to Gecko. So we've obviously got Solana up there, ARBITRUM, and Say was there last week, so good to see that holding in there still. Virtuals, Protocol, and Hyperliquid has actually been there for the last few weeks. So a bit going on there. We look at the top 100, we can see Bitcoin sitting at 108K. It's been a really strong, well, most of the week, really. Another couple of days, if we keep this up, it's been a pretty strong 7 days. You've got Ethereum up 13.9 on the week. You've got XRP at 12.7. Solana, which we just saw on the most viewed, was at 19% for the week. Quite a bit of double-digit movement. SWI, 22%, Chainlink 22%, which is great to see for Chainlink. Really is the one that powers so much in the crypto ecosystem or the crypto world. You got Hedera at 18%. Polkadot still popping away at 15 there. Uniswap at 12. Some big movers on the 7 day really. Aptos, Potenza's at nearly 18. Near 24. Casper at nearly 27. Still not at 8 cents. So it doesn't take much to get a big move out of Casper these days. Still think it will be one of the plays of this run. You got ARBITRUM at 46%. Yeah, look, a lot of double. Say there at 53% up. A lot of big moves. Let's have a look at the crypto bubbles. So a lot of green, obviously, and we'll see that as we go through, right? A lot of green, 100, 200, lots of green. A lot of the memes in there, Brett, Turbo. Just green across the board. Is it going to continue? That's the question, right? We've had the month so far close where I am. We're just about to close in the green, which would be the first one for a while, I think, with, let's have a look. Let's go into the Cryptoverse where I get all my charts from. So we can see currently it's at 2.38% and in the green for the month. Quite often June is a red month. What do they say? Selling may go away. I said at the beginning of the month I wasn't sure if this month would end in the red, and I just have a feeling that I still think it will end in the green, although there is a little bit of time to go. So we'll see how that plays out. But it does set up, if it is green, it does set up quite an interesting run, July, August, September into October, right? Which is sort of around this time is where I'm feeling that we're going to get that cycle top around that Q4. If we look at prior cycles and we compare the days from the halving and things like that, it's going to be around that mid to end of October if it fell into the same pattern as the previous cycles. But nothing ever works out. As soon as you think something's going to work out one way, it works out another way, right? So don't count your chickens before they hatch. Let's have a look at the indicators. So we've got fear and greed at 66%, so that is up slightly on last week. We've got dominance at 62.3. Again, this is Gecko, so I understand there'll be slightly different numbers out there floating around. Based on that, it's up slightly on last week. ETH dominance is down slightly. We've got an increase in the market cap, only marginally. Volume's down slightly. There's that monthly returns. We can see that all the other indicators are actually in the green for the week. Not massive moves again. You know, we've still got quite a way to go before we start to see these get into the ranges where you would think that a top might be in, or you might start, or for me with my strategy, which is based on the indicators, where I'll start looking at DCAing out of certain tokens. And each token or coin I hold, I have a different strategy. They're all based on indicators, but how much I'll take out at certain points in that is different because they will behave differently, obviously, and they're not all going to hit at the same time and yada, yada, yada. But we can see massive inflows on the ETFs. So if we look at the ETFs for the last week, so the 23rd to the 27th, we can see some really big inflows in the Bitcoin ETFs. If we have a look at the ETH ETF, again, pretty solid. Like there was net outflow on the 26th, but in general, pretty solid for the ETH ETFs as well. So that's where we can see it was 2.2 billion for the week. Massive numbers, right? If we look at the categories, we can see here layer 2 is the biggest mover. It's up 15.1% on the week. I actually don't hold any layer 2s anymore. I really prefer the layer 1s, and I think the speed and the movement we're getting on a lot of the lower ones, layer 2 is really there to increase the capacity and the speed for something like Ethereum. But for me, I'm a bit more into the layer 1s. Definitely got some exchange exposure, and we can see here that's actually the worst of them all for the 7 days. But in general, pretty good. Like AI is 14.5, gaming's up 12.5. A lot of people were expecting gaming to be the big narrative of this run. I tend to feel it's going to be probably the AI will be the big narrative. L1s are always a good bet. I also like DPM because it's real world, right? It's that decentralized physical infrastructure, things like World Mobile Token and that actually have real users for their platforms, for their products. RWAs is going to be big. Whether it will be the biggest one this run, not sure. I think definitely starting out this run, but I can definitely see in the next few years that really picking up with BlackRock, things like that. Obviously DeFi as well has been pretty good over the last few weeks. Still at 12.6, still going well. Memes are at 12.1. Stablecoins sitting pretty close to where they were last week for the market cap. Again, two of the indicators we're really looking for outside of those other, but key ones are things like the dominance dropping on the Bitcoin and stablecoins dominance, or the market cap starting to pull back a bit on that, which will generally mean people are then starting to move into higher risk tokens, coins, the altcoins if you want. So Bitcoin to Ethereum to the top 10, blue chips, whatever, to mid caps, low caps, degen. So they're the things we're going to be looking for. There's a few unlocks coming up as well this week. We've got Sui is going to be releasing, looks like about 1.4% in the next 7 days. DYDX is 2.42 million, so that's 0.61. What else we got here? People might be interested in. You got 1 inch happening. Render has some unlocks coming, not massive. Optimus, what's that at? Nearly at 2%. So few unlocks coming. Another busy week. It will continue to be. This is the sort of stuff we want to be seeing. Obviously, there's a lot going on outside of crypto. You got things like the tariff negotiations with Trump and Canada, and I think they signed the deal with China. You've got disturbing things happening all over the world, whether it be over in the Middle East, or you're hearing rumblings of things with Russia and Pakistan and China and all those sorts of things happening as well, and India being on the outer there. So there's still a lot of global tensions and things happening that can really impact the overall markets and the overall economies around the world. You've got the big beautiful bill still going on in the US and everything around that. And there is some crypto stuff in that as well. I know Cynthia Loomis said she was voting yes for it. Obviously, she's big on the crypto side of that and the Bitcoin side of that. So I think there'll be an interesting week coming up. You got Jerome Powell, I think, speaking on the 1st of July, maybe. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. So look, a lot coming up. We're in the green. Are we going to stay there? Who knows? Just really keen to see if this month finishes in the green, for how that can impact the flow on into the next few months. Look, it's going to be a really exciting next 3, 4, 5 months, maybe even 6 months. There's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be lots of ups and downs. If we stick to the same sort of cycles we've seen historically. Plus you get things like money printing going brr, you know, some lowering of the interest rates, all those sorts of things coming together, that easing the M2 money supply going up, and we've seen the charts where the M2 money supply currently is, and we know there's about 11-week lag on the behavior of Bitcoin and that behind that money supply, and they have started to separate a little bit in the last, week or so, but that's another one to really keep an eye on. So look, all in all, a lot going on. I'll try and get on a bit more this week. Been a lot going on, but I'll try and get on a bit more this week as we move through the week and try and do a bit more regular, maybe daily or every second day, just to run through what's going on in the market, get a bit more news in. Didn't have a lot of time to get the news in today, but look, all in all, a lot happening, a lot to be excited about. Nothing again has changed for me. I did get a little bit of DCA in last week, looking for those opportunities again while the market's where it is. So look, hopefully you're getting some value out of these guys. Hit that like button, smash the subscribe, click the bell notification so you get notified when I release my videos. And remember, crypto's an adventure. Get into it. I'll see you in the next one.